there! Today we are going to talk about... Oh, that's upside down. The Daughter of Doctor Moreau by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This book was weird and mysterious and strange. So The Daughter of Doctor Moreau is, I guess, delving more into the story of the classic sci-fi novel from H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And if you know anything about Dr. Moreau from that or from the old movie, Dr. Moreau was on this island and had all these experiments with weird creatures and such. This story follows Carlota, who is the doctor's daughter, and then she also grows up with what they call the hybrids. The hybrids are the doctor's experiments or his life's work. Two of them are like her closest friends growing up. There's Lupe and Cachito, and then there's one other person at their Hacienda, Ramona, who kind of takes care of them and oversees them. They're looking for a new mayordomo. It's like a groundskeeper, someone who can multitask and hunt and take care of the hacienda while the doctor just, focuses on his experiments. And it gets into the story of his daughter and her origin and like who's her mother. As a child, she was very ill, and the doctor's experiments helped to extend her life because she had a rare blood illness, and so he concocts this weird injection he gives her. He says it's the strength of jaguars, so I guess they use jaguar pieces or jaguar blood or something. And then they also house all these different hybrids that are part animal, part human. They're very secluded and they're off away from other people. So Mr. Lawton is who ends up being hired and coming to stay with them to help out and take care and work with Dr. Moreau, take care of the grounds, take care of the hybrids. And so you have all this interesting cast of characters. And so it follows the story of Carlota growing up and being friends with these hybrids. They were never really dangerous. None of them had violent tendencies. She viewed them as her friends. And their property is owned by this family, the Lizaldis, and they're kind of rich and own everything around in the land. And the owner has this son who's kind of like a arrogant prick, we might say. And so it's in the 1800s, and it starts from when Carlota's 14 years old, and then it follows her into, turning 20 and being close to being 21. And the son one day of Hernando Lizaldi, who is the guy who funds the doctor's experiments and such. And he's funding the doctor's experiments because eventually they want these hybrids to come work in his fields, because basically what they want to do is put them in slave labor. And that sucks. So far, the hybrids are just not developed enough. They develop all these different issues and problems, and they have to have injections all the time so that they don't get weird crippling illness and such. So none of these creatures are ready to go to this guy, and he's starting to get a little impatient. But one day the son shows up. His father had kind of said I want to talk to you before you go there, blah blah blah, and was basically told him, don't just show up. Mr. Lawton goes out and meets him. This Lizaldi, Eduardo, is with his douche canoe bros. They're all give us men, we want to go hunt down the Indians in the area. And so this is a time of major turmoil too. They're in the Yucatan Peninsula. This is during times of warfare, so there's different bands of Mayans roaming in the jungle around the area, and the son and his douche bros want to go hunt them down. So they come up to the Yucatan, which is what the hacienda is called. I hope I'm saying that right. And they come up to Mr. Lawton, and Mr. Lawton, he's been around the block. He likes to gamble, he likes to drink, and he doesn't, trust a lot of people, and especially this son of the super rich dude who funds the place, who's never really been here before. The son's just I need men to fight, and he doesn't believe him that there's no one there. And then Carlota comes up, and she's this super beautiful exotic woman, and he's because before the son's being a total cock, and she walks up, and then he's insert foot and mouth, and he seems a bit enchanted with her, and she kind of calms the situation down a bit. They're yeah, we take care of ill people here. They don't say anything about the hybrids because he doesn't know, because his father hasn't told him. And so, you know, now you're starting to wonder, okay, is he gonna find out about the hybrids and like freak out about these half human, half animal people? It gets to the point where like he ends up sitting down talking to the doctor, and they have tea. None of the hybrids are seen by him, and the doctor like invites him to come back at a later date or whatever. And you know, a week or so later, he ends up coming back. And then it gets into the story of what happens when he comes back. And there's like a weird attraction between him and Carlota. And the story was interesting, and it had, with a continuation of Dr. Moreau, I felt the book kind of dragged on a little bit. I never felt the need to I didn't need to read it. I didn't need to keep continuing on, but I did because it was okay. It was an okay story, but I questioned that because before I read this book, I read Brandon Sanderson's The Well of Ascension, and it was so good, it blew my freaking socks off. And so I'm wondering, you know, any single book that I would read after reading that Brandon Sanderson book that was so phenomenal, I'm gonna have a skewed opinion. So I'm not gonna star rate this one, because I feel like that reading such a good book before the next day jumping into another one may just skew my opinion a bit. So that's what I liked, what I didn't like. I thought the story was unique and interesting. Like I said, the writing style was pretty good. I felt the characters could have been developed more, and then some of the relationships, how they happened, were a bit maybe rushed, or just kind of not enough care taken into developing them a little more. But it was an alright read. If you like weird science, maybe somewhat crazy / genius doctors. It's called The Daughter of Doctor Moreau, and she is a main character. I never felt like she fully took center stage. I mean, she became a bit of a stronger character towards the end, and I thought the end was pretty decent. It gets into more like escalation and action and, you know, what's gonna happen with these hybrids and these creatures and these people, and does it work out? Does stuff go sideways? Overall, it was a good book with a unique premise. So, do you like weird books with weird premises? If so, the next video coming up will be another weird book with a weird premise. So, stick around, check it out. If you had fun hanging out, boop that like button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.